So I would just like to remind everyone, are you able to breathe without a ventilator? If you're able to breathe without a ventilator, that itself is a huge thing. Do you have your family with you? Are they well? Are you able to have a meal every day? These are huge things that we have to just become aware of, that yes, we are living in a pandemic. Yes, our lifestyles are severely restricted, but is there nothing that we can be grateful for? The very fact that we are breathing without a ventilator, that we are healthy, that itself is reason to have a heart full of gratitude. And happiness, I think, begins from there, from gratitude. So not to postpone happiness, but live in the moment, have gratitude in the heart in every moment that you're living in, and enjoy the journey. Yes, it is difficult, but if you don't focus on that, what is difficult, focus on the other things which are still beautiful in life. And that gives you the motivation and spirit to carry on, I think.
Another question has come from our member Vandana Vatsan, so we can unmute and ask the question yourself.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Vandana. Yeah.
The question is how we define happiness as a treasure, like, of life.
Well, you said it yourself. Happiness is a treasure.
Yeah.
I think happiness would be having a joy in your heart, peace and tranquility in your heart. For me, that is happiness. If you're able to just breathe, eat, our human needs are not very many. And I think we have all learned that during the pandemic. We don't need 100 sets of clothes. We don't need 50 pairs of shoes. We don't need 20 bags, We can manage with 2 pairs of shoes or even 1 pair of shoes. So I think just if you realize what it is that does not constitute happiness, that does not give you the kind of happiness that you're looking for, if you just do some subtraction, then I think what remains is what is happiness.
We have Dr. Saket Sinha here. Would you like to ask a question yourself, Saket? Unmute yourself. Anyway, his question is, I think the initial step in happiness is knowing what is happiness. So what is happiness?
I think I replied partly. I can add a little more to what Vandana asked. Happiness is also just having an immense sense of gratitude for what you have. Happiness stems from gratitude. And gratitude is one of the finest human emotions that human beings can have. If you can be grateful for all the things that you have, if you can be of service to people around you, if you can treat people around you with love and compassion, I think that all falls in the ambit of happiness. That gives you happiness.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail when you said that, if you can service the people, that is going to bring happiness to you. And why does it do that? The basis of the fact that when you do something to make others happy, why it makes one happy. That's where the happiness definition comes into play, I guess. It is the actual nature of the soul, the seat of the chitta in Sanskrit, where the soul is, that is where happiness lies. And it's the true nature of the self, of the person, of the being. I think,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Saket.
I think when you do something for somebody, that is the way of acknowledging that person's actual self, and that's what brings the happiness, and the connection actually happens, and so we feel that in our soul at that time when we touch the other soul, and that's why it makes it happy.
थैंक यू साकेत। अगला सवाल है असीम त्रिवेदी जी से। गो अहेड असीम।
Yeah. Hi, everyone. And pranam to Taruna ji. Thank you so much for giving this talk. My question is regarding happiness. So I recently read a book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, where he talked about that happiness should not be pursued, but then happiness ensues. And the second piece is where he talked about having, as you just mentioned earlier, that having meaning, what you want to achieve. So I just wanted to understand how we should ensue happiness and what is the difference? Like, should we go for peace in life, which results in happiness? Because happiness can be topsy-turvy.
Actually, I don't know how happiness can be topsy-turvy. I think happiness is just an all-time high. You know, as Sakeji was saying, the human soul is happiest when it is in service, when it is helping someone. And there's a reason for that. The reason is that human beings or the human spirit is happiest when it is in a state of expansion. You know, when we do something good, your soul expands. You feel like you're soaring the skies. And I always say the human spirit was meant to soar the skies. We were not meant to be bogged down by baggage and feelings of anxiety and, you know, all these other negative feelings. We were meant, that is why we are supposed to be. Although sometimes, of course, the actions of some people, you know, makes us doubt whether we are really the most intelligent species on planet Earth. But we are supposed to be the most intelligent. And the reason for that is because we have a consciousness. We have a consciousness. We have the ability to be aware. So when we have that, why do we fail to use it? You know, we get embroiled in the pursuits of the capitalistic world, you know, a better car, a bigger house, a house with a pool, suit from wherever, you know. So when we start getting embroiled in all these things, that is where I think the quality of happiness gets chipped away. If instead of that, if we try to focus on connecting with ourselves, and it's not that difficult. Actually, it's not that difficult. If we just took a pause, and just, you know, breathe, that's it. And things start flowing. So happiness ensues on its own. We have to decide that we will choose the things that make us happy. And even the Dalai Lama says that, you know, you have to make a choice. Everybody is dealing with problems, but if we choose to focus on that problem, we get sucked into it. If we say, okay, yeah, we have this problem and I have this problem, I'm aware of it, and I will do what is in my power to make it better. But I'm not going to forget that, on the other hand, there are beautiful flowers in my garden, or that I'm healthy otherwise. You know, like I said, have gratitude for the rest of the things that we have. Not focus on the one thing or the two things that are not going so well for us in our lives. And happiness ensues.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify one last piece which I asked, but it makes a lot of sense what you just said. But the second piece was when I said it's happiness can be topsy-turvy, it's because my happiness can be somebody else's unhappiness. So how do you determine, do you live for your happiness or do you live for somebody else's happiness? Because you have duty. And how do you define that kind of duty?
Yeah, you know, you can only be responsible for your feelings. You cannot be responsible for the feelings of someone else. That being said, of course, one shouldn't do anything intentionally to hurt the other person. But sometimes, you know, you do a good deed and the other person takes it so badly,
Yeah.
and he thinks that you've you know, done him a big disfavor. So that is not your burden. That is his burden.
Okay.
Our
makes sense.
intentions should be clear and you know, with honor and integrity.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We are
Thank
getting so many questions.
अविनाश जी
Yeah.
अविनाश जी सुधाकर quick one अभी Facebook पे जो broadcast हो रहा है that is very choppy and I'm getting few pings. So what we are going to do is we are taking 30-second break here. I'm going to break the Facebook live and restart. Okay. 30-second.
Okay. We can continue till then.
Yes, Facebook पे अभी disconnect हो गया है but
Actually एक वंदना जी का एक follow-up question आया है कि how health and happiness are related. So actually, I was talking to Dr. Soumya Das, my neighbor, and she asked the same question. So I said, a healthy mind in a healthy body. So she says, "Are you Taruna ji? Why you're answering my question? Let her answer the question." Because even a cancer patient can be happy. So I said, so I would like your answer to that, please.
Yeah, I think personally speaking, a healthy and happy mind can conquer many physical ailments. On the other hand, if you have the healthiest body and mentally, you know, you are not feeling good, you're on a low, that can manifest in many physical ailments. So I think a healthy mind is more important. Both are important. But if you ask me which is more important, I would say a healthy and happy mind.
Thank you. And Dr. Bankim Shah has a question. Go ahead, Bankim ji.
I have a little different question from happiness. You read all the time that straight trees are cut first. In other words, I'm asking you, if you behave honestly, if you remain straightforward, you will be hammered. I have heard this over and over. If you could throw some light on that. And we see that in real life too. सीधे साधे लोग होते, उनको ज्यादा परेशानी होती है. तो इसके बारे में कुछ if you can throw the light.
Absolutely. You know, I'll just say a very small incident. When I was doing my master's, I had earlier been a science student, so I had no idea about humanities. And then I was doing Western philosophy, and I started studying about Socrates. Socrates was an old, ugly, not a very agreeable person. But I fell in love with him because he was a man of great integrity and he did not compromise. I think people who are straightforward, people who are honest, and people who have integrity, they have the conviction Their strength lies in the conviction of their being honest. And that is what holds them in good stead. And even if, of course, the world that we live in, most of the times they do get beaten down. But I think if you ask them, would they have rather compromised? I think they're happier in having stood up for their convictions. I think that gives you a sense of peace, a sense of tranquility, because there is no dilemma there. You're absolutely crystal clear. So there's nothing that's pulling you down. I think that the honesty, the straightforwardness, the integrity holds you in good stead. Because you don't have to lie, because you don't have to play these complicated games that all these other people are playing. So definitely one who has all these qualities is more tranquil and is more peaceful. Because the human, I believe that the human spirit was not meant to be dishonest. We were meant to be honest, compassionate, loving people. But then we let our human experiences, change us, affect us and all that. And many people become like that. That is a whole different session. But as far as honesty and integrity goes, I think this is what I have to share.
Okay. Thank you. We have a lot of questions. We'll try to get everybody answered. Next is Anil Kumar Sharma. And then there is Dr. Sachidanand Jha, who is a question on connection between spirituality and happiness. But let's take Anil Sharma first. Are you there?
Yeah, sir. So, hi Taruna ji, like I was just going through the question answer and your talk also. Means, this is not actual question. This is just a viewpoint from my side that what this is from me only. Like nowadays, I feel that people are more emphasizing on what we need to think for happiness, emotions, soul searching, and those kind of things. Like you mentioned that happiness is not coming as a topper in the school. Happiness is not acquiring the most precious car or buying the expensive watches. Like I am just trying to put my point of view. Do you think that whenever someone tops in the school or her class or his class, that if someone teaches him that you should not be happy, automatically it comes into his mind or in his feeling, yeah, I am happy, and he really means he feels something at the top, at least at that point of view, whenever he watches or whenever he sees the result sheet or whenever he discusses. Same way goes, like we don't say, or he does not even need to know that he's buying expensive car, but whenever someone buys from his own effort or whatever, he feels it comes from inside. And nowadays what is happening in kind of like you can say, like we have studied the need theory, we are trying to teach that no, this is not the actual thing. And what I'm trying to say that everything is actual, like the perspective differs. And like for the class, the student who is in like a college or till university, coming into the first or top one or the achieving the highest record in the university can be this one like a happiness moment for him. And someone who is having the materialistic mind, like you can't say that your materialistic mind is not a practical thing, or it's not, this is not a truth, like kind of things. Like we have so many people, and materialistic kind of thing has also come into the civilization and we are developing, right? So how it could be differentiated? No, like if Sadhguru is telling, that's a correct. If Ravi Shankar is telling, this is a little bit low in hierarchy, and if Ramdev is telling, that's in lowest in C. Like if Ramdev is telling, that could be bringing happiness. If we go hierarchy wise, Ravi Shankar, you will see that middle class or upper middle class, the main follower of the Ravi Shankar is like corporate people. If we go a little up, we will see Sadhguru, whose main follower are celebrity or the top equivalents, so called, means it's not correct, but I'm just trying to correlate. But everyone is saying, no, Ramdev is good, Ravi Shankar is good, Sadhguru is good. So
that's a very good point, Anilji. Tarunaji, what you have to say?
Yeah. I have never said that material things don't bring you happiness. Of course they do. Otherwise, why would people hanker after them? What I say, and regarding, a child coming first in class and how happy he feels, there's not just one thing there. Even as children, we are all socially conditioned. He feels happy because he has worked hard and he has got it. All I'm saying is enjoy the journey. Don't postpone the happiness. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy studying what you're studying. Don't study for the marks that you're going to get. The marks will come. Enjoy what you're doing. Do it with happiness. It is the attitude I'm talking about. And as far as buying expensive cars and all goes, if people were unhappy when they bought expensive cars, nobody would buy them. Nobody would buy glitzy watches and clothes of brands and all that. I have never said that those things don't give you happiness. I have said that those things give you happiness for a few moments. And after that, that happiness goes when you see something better because you are in that mode. You see? So I have said that there is a difference between the happiness that you get when your happiness depends on something external of you, whether it is a person, whether it is acquiring things, whether it is a position in society. What I say is that your happiness cannot depend on something which is external to you, because those things will come and go. And when they go, you will suddenly be totally unhappy. And it's not smart to give the remote control of your happiness to something which is outside you. That's all. Okay. I hope I have answered, whatever you were saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Sachidanand Jha and Anita Jha watching. The Anita Jha question is how to get over the conditioning which has been ingrained into us of quantifying happiness with material things. I think you already answered that. And the next question was from Anita herself. Can one not be happy just by serving self, taking care of oneself? And I want to know if Dr. Sachidanand Jha is there. He has a question on spirituality with happiness. Are you there? You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, my name is Sachidanand Jha, and I have a question. What is the connection of spirituality with happiness? Is connecting to the Supreme Lord probably makes you eternally happy? What is your opinion on that?
Absolutely. There is no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt. If one can connect to the Supreme Consciousness, the happiness that one experiences is not even of this world. That happiness is not quantifiable. That happiness cannot be described in mere words that we human beings use to express. Because the depth of that happiness goes beyond the gut feeling that we have. It is as endless as the universe. So there is no doubt that the happiness we are looking for, the happiness that we are meant to look for, is the eternal happiness. And that is connecting with the Supreme Consciousness, that is connecting with the energy whatever you can call it energy around you, you can call it supreme consciousness, you can call it Mother Nature, but eternal happiness lies there, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Okay, is Miss Dolly Jha there? She has a question on quantifying happiness with material things, and serving self gives happiness.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Dr. Gupta. That question which you just said, I think same has been asked earlier. What I would like to know is, so if a person is conditioned to certain way of life, and what you are defining, right? Happiness comes from inside. We all know that. But certain conditioning, is there a way we can uncondition ourselves, like relating things to materialistic things, or relating, happiness to materialistic things?
Yeah, thank you for the question. You see, I said right in the beginning that human beings are very intelligent. If only we took the time to become conscious, to connect with our consciousness. You know, the moment you become conscious and aware, speaking of material things, that the Gucci jacket you bought, yes, it's very pretty. It's very pretty, and you were thrilled when you bought it, and you were so happy the first time you wore it, the next 10 times you wore it. But the 20th time when, and then you go and acquire another jacket. Maybe this time it's Versace, or something else, something more exclusive. So there is no end to buying. There is no end. So the moment you become aware that, these things actually give me happiness for a short period of time. So is this what I'm looking for? If that is what you're looking for, then absolutely fine. You can go ahead and, keep making yourself happy in this way. But if, like I said, if you are a person who has connected with your consciousness, when one realizes that true happiness lies in other things also. And perhaps those things might give you happiness for a longer duration. Like I said, like when we do service, when you help someone without expecting anything in return, I say that there's something that lights up in your heart. There's a glow in your heart when you do something selflessly. You don't have any expectation in return. You don't expect that you will get some big social recognition in society, but you're doing it just because that is human nature, and you're following your instinct. That stays with you for longer. And I think it gives you a strength to continue in that line. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think that's why you look so happy, because you are giving happiness to all of us and helping us selflessly. And I have seen you in so many events, as I said, with so much on your shoulders. I mean, you represent the whole India, as a matter of fact. But you still, you are never stressed out and never worried. I mean, you are always with a smile. So the one comment I have is, I also used to do things, and when people didn't reciprocate, I used to get very upset. But then I realized that whatever I do for others, what happiness it gives me, that is my return of doing things for them and not
Absolutely.
return anything in return.
Yes.
The other question is what you said about the pandemic, that we should be happy that, we are not on ventilators, but people are very stressed out. And on one hand, you are saying that it's at least they are is during the lockdown or work from home, they are able to spend time with the family. But some people are stressed out spending time with the family and children, because children are not going to school. They are getting all upset. The spouse is home, so there are more fights. So how do we manage that part of the problem, that too much of a good thing and giving it stress? Like I don't have my space, I don't have free time, things like that.
Yeah, I think this is a very real problem that a lot of people are facing. Women suddenly have realized that they don't have the space that they used to have. You know, those who were doing consultation work or freelancing and all that, and suddenly the husbands are at home and they don't have that space that they had anymore. So I think something like this calls for a family meeting, and everybody has to change the chip. Everybody has to change the chip that this is the situation that we are in, and we have to continue, or we have to start showing love and affection and concern and care for each other. We have to be aware that the situation is stressful for everybody. Situation is stressful for the children, for the wife, for the husband. If each member understands this and the joint goal becomes helping each other, you know, like I said, our hearts, our souls expand, are in a state of expansion when we help without anything, without expecting anything in return. So we have to go back to the basics. We have to treat everybody with care. We have to be kind to the people that we love. We have forgotten how to be kind to our own family members, to ourselves. I think we have to remember that. Just be kind to each other and happiness will find its way into our hearts.
Thank you. There are some great comments coming on Facebook Live. Subhash Chandra Tiwari says, hi everyone. He's from Delhi. Good luck to all. It's a great subject. We need happiness badly. Thanks, Dr. Taruna ji. Anil Bansal, who is the president of FIA, says, wonderful take on life. Dr. Gopal Pathak, who is the Vice Chancellor of Jharkhand Institute of Technology, he says, great initiative. Deepal Parmar says, very enlightening. And Dr. Prabhat Sinha has a question. What makes Bhutan happiest country on the earth?
I think we would have to ask the Bhutanese. I haven't been to Bhutan, but I keep hearing this, you know. Perhaps capitalism hasn't really caught on there that much.
Right.
You know, they are very particular about the number of people they allow inside. And they have stringent controls on all these things. And they are in the midst of beautiful mountains. Mountains themselves have such wonderful energy. So I'm not surprised.
Okay, the other question is, what is happiness and what is wellness? How are they connected? Could it be different for different people? I think I've already answered this question. If you have anything to add to that.
Well, I think I would just say happiness is a state of being, is a state of mind, and wellness includes the physical aspect as well. So wellness would mean, you know, happiness in the mind and health of the body. To my understanding, that is what it is.
Yeah. And
अविनाश जी एक क्वेश्चन मेरे साइड से so there is a saying that knowing and doing are two separate things, right? So we all know that we should go to a gym, but very few people go to a gym. Same thing goes with happiness. And happiness, we all know that, oh, we should not compare, we should not expect, you do for your happiness. But again, what happens is there is a huge gap between knowing and doing. Any advice on how can we bridge that gap and make happiness practices doing more easier?
I think, you know, in a few of my previous webinars, I've said that Do things that make you happy. Engage in activities that give you happiness. If you like to run, you're feeling low, put on your shoes right now and go for a run. Happiness is a choice that we make. Happiness is not something that just falls out of the heavens, into the laps of everyone. Just as we need to work out, control our diet, etc., to have a fit body, we forget that we have to do the same things for our minds. We have to work for our minds as well. And there are so many things that we can do, but just become conscious that happiness is a choice. I don't have to be sad and depressed and frustrated. I can look at the other things that I have. I can choose to look at the positive things that I have in my life and work on that, and not get pulled into this vortex of unhappiness and frustration because one part of my life is not working well. With young people, when they fall in love and things don't work out and their hearts are broken, nobody can focus on anything else except the fact that you have lost the person that you thought would bring you eternal happiness. You would just be happy with that person and no one else. But even to those young people, I will just say that, please be aware that you alone are responsible for your own state of happiness. It is a decision that you make. There are not too many of these messages that go out for people, that become conscious that you are the sole person to decide whether you will be happy or not.
Dr. Tarunaji, thank you. Would you be available to be a one-on-one coach for somebody? If somebody is in trouble.
I am.
Thank you.
Avinash, this is Shashi. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Hi, Tarunaji. Happy to be with you all. A lot of people associate happiness when they drink. And the alcohol somehow in our society, in many parts of the society, is always deemed to be a bad thing to do. But if a little bit of drinking makes somebody happy or friends happy, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, alcohol numbs your senses. So I don't think it gives you the experience of happiness. I think it deludes you into a sort of a make-believe world where you're not thinking of your actual world. You're thinking of other things. People say that when I drink, I forget about my problems. You don't have to drink to forget about your problems. You can do so many other things. And the thing about alcohol is that it is delusional. It doesn't solve anything for you.
No,
it doesn't connect you with happiness.
Right. I'm not trying to solve anything. It's a social drinking. A few friends get together and they like to have a drink together and they're enjoying it. And not to a point that you forget everything what you're doing. You're in totally senseless situation. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having a drink or two with friends. Some people deem that to be a bad thing to do. Some people think that's a good thing to do. That's
well, so I am not going to stand and be a judge on anybody because I'm nobody to do that. But I will just say that if you think that is making you happy, that is your way of spending time with your friends, then who am I to say that no? But I will just say that alcohol numbs the senses. The human intellect, spirit, consciousness is bright. It's brilliant.
True.
We don't need things that you know. We don't need things to make us feel relaxed. We
Agreed.
don't need substances to make us feel more relaxed. I feel that there are so many other ways, and these are all ways in which you connect with your consciousness, in which you connect with that thing in you that shines so brightly, if only we let it.
Okay.
Thank you, Sasiji, for asking that question, which we all wanted to ask, but were afraid to ask. Thank you. So we are running out of time, and we are going to be very unhappy with that. We hope you come again. Alok ji has a question, who is our friend, philosopher and guide. And Anurag ji will has a question also, who is our vice president, and he will ask that question when he comes in at the end. But as a follow-up, I have a follow-up question from Vandana before we do those two last things. She's saying that considering we spend so much time living in virtual world, almost always on it, be it work or otherwise, how to find gratitude and get such a feeling? And also, there are some comments on Facebook from Sunil Prasad. I really loved the meeting part. The way you answered is so thoughtful. Rajiv Singh says, great program by BJANA leadership team, very timely. And so please, I also feel gratitude as a big, gives me a lot of happiness. So the question is about being in this lockdown and be online all the time.
Yes. I agree. Being online on the digital platforms is stressful. There's no doubt about it. And it is difficult. And it is frustrating because you can't control things the way you would in a normal situation, face-to-face situation. The only thing I can say is that breathe. Breathe. If you know how to do pranayams, please do the pranayams. If you need some guidance, seek guidance, or because that actually is the only way, you know, that you can de-stress, because meditation doesn't happen just on its own. That people tell you, okay, sit, put on some meditative music and concentrate on the center of your forehead, and you know, thoughts will keep coming in. That's, you know, I find it amazing that this is what people think meditation is. But there are techniques that our yogis have taught and left for us, you know, that even people, when we practice those techniques, we actually can reach a state of where there is a place where there are no thoughts. And where there are no thoughts, where even your bodily processes become slower. And you can see proof of that in all these smart watches and, you know, these watches that we have. Because after the pranayams, when you do the meditation, your heartbeat drops. We have physiological evidence that your heartbeat drops, that your body processes become slower. And in that kind of space where you experience no thoughts, you experience a vacuum, then you can say that, yes, I'm meditating.
I agree with you 100%. I have been doing yoga, pranayam, and then meditation, and I have realized that. And there are a lot of comments coming, and this looks like one of the best webinars we have done. Anil Bansal ji is saying he's so happy that when he's around happy people. Priyamada Tiwari wants to ask how to be happy when everything is going against our wishes. And there are some other questions about that in this depressing times, how to be happy. And thanks to BJANA for organizing this talk. Feel so good listening to you, ma'am. That's comment from Sweta Singh. And Sweta also says how important is spiritual happiness in big gambit of well-being, which you have answered. And the Rajiv Singh is saying that very good answer to alcohol question. Sunil Prasad says if you are with friends, even tea or coffee can give you the same enjoyment. So Alok ji, your turn next.
Can I just answer a question that somebody asked? How can you be happy when everything is going against your wishes?
Right.
I think I will become slightly philosophical here. When everything goes against your wishes, please realize, become conscious that you are smaller than the smallest grain of sand in this universe. Who are you to feel that things should go according to your wishes? Who are we? We are nothing. We are nothing. So if things don't go according to our wishes, I mean, we have to sort of forget about our ego and accept it. It all depends, of course, if it is something worth fighting for or not. If it involves integrity and honesty and all these things, no? So it's relative, but I think we all should remember that we are nothing. We are just we are smaller than the smallest grain of sand in the beach. So, करने वाला ऊपर वाला है. हम कौन होते हैं?
आलोक जी.
थैंक यू मैम. और मैम आपने जो अल्कोहल का आंसर दिया था शशि जी को, अल्कोहल का जो क्वेश्चन था शशि जी का, उस पर जो जवाब आपने दिया था, तो अभी जो आपके आंसर से पूरा अलाइन करती हैं, हम लोगों के बीच में बैठी हुई हैं डॉक्टर गीता गुप्ता, वो 100% एग्री है. हमको तो हम लोगों को लगा कि शायद आंसर ये मिलेगा कि अल्कोहल से बढ़िया हो जाएगा, अच्छा आंसर मिले, वो हमारे हिसाब से आएगा, लेकिन के साथ हो गया. सब हम लोग फॉलो करना पड़ेगा वही. And somebody said that even the tea and coffee will make all of us happy. मैम मेरा एक practical question है. Practical question ये है कि I encountered at least more than 50 or 60 girls जो लोग इंडिया में बहुत ही well settled होते हैं, बढ़िया कंपनी में जॉब करते हैं. They feel they are very happy over there. Once they come to the USA and they find it's very impossible for them to work in USA because of the visa issues, and their state of mind start changing. फिर यदि बच्चे हो जाते हैं तो उनको परवरिश करने में they spend the time and all that, but their state of mind is never getting into happy mode. आपका क्या गाइडेंस रहेगा कि द जॉब और हैप्पीनेस, उस दोनों को कैसे डिस्कनेक्ट करके हैप्पीनेस वो लोग अपने माइंड में, अपने दिमाग और जहन में लेके आए? So that's because this is what I have in the last 14 years. I encountered these many people and they all had that unhappiness. Like all the time I used to get the answer from those girls that यदि मुझे पता होता कि मैं काम नहीं कर सकती यहाँ पे, I would have never married to that person. So इस तरह का यदि कोई आंसर आपको दे रहा है तो that means they are so much unhappy. So उन लोगों के लिए ऐसा क्या मतलब चीज होना चाहिए उनके लिए, तो वो यदि आप बता दें तो.
अच्छा, मुझे बस एक चीज मैं पहले क्लियर करना चाहती हूँ. You know, this pressure that women have these days, that you have to work. If you're not working, then you are like a nobody. That is something that is so unjust. You know, it is so a lot of these responses, not all of them, a lot of these responses come as a result of because you start feeling worthless. But you're not worthless. You know, you're doing so many things. Even if you're taking care of your home, if you're taking care of your children, that is such a big thing. You know, if you hear Indra Nui's interview, she says, women cannot have it all. Women can't have it all. And why is it that they can't have it all? Because, of course, most of the times there are certain duties that they are expected to do. You know, the maternal duties and all that, which if they don't do, the children also resent it. You know, so for women, it's not an easy thing. whether you go out there and work or you take care of your children. But leaving this aside and coming back to the point that, a young lady who has worked just as hard as a man to have a career of her own, and she comes here and she discovers that she can't work. Of course, there are feelings of frustration. But, I think I keep saying that we just have to be conscious of the fact that this might be one of the things that will give you happiness. But there are so many other things that can give you happiness. If this is not possible, why don't we concentrate on the other things? There are other things that you can do. But it is the social conditioning that we all have, that we all are subject to. When I came back here, everybody was like, oh, so now you're going to teach in university. Ab to aap university mein padhayenge, ab to PhD ho gaya aapka. So I had to be very firm, including with my family, and say, no, this is not what I want to do. And aap school mein padha lijiye. Our school mein to bahut demand hai. I said, no, I don't want to do a 7:30 to 3:30, 4:30 job. I'm not prepared to do that. There are other things I want to do with my life, which I have ignored for a long time. And this is what I'm going to do. It has not been easy, Alok. It has not been easy to stand up to all the societal things and expectations and family expectations also. But I stood my ground. I said, no, I will do what gives me happiness.
Actually, there is a related question on that from Uttam Kumar, how to handle peer pressure.
Peer pressure is best handled when you know that you are doing the right thing. Tagore's famous song, Jodi tor dak shune keu na ashe, tobe ekla cholo re. If nobody heeds your call, walk alone. A lot of the transference of these values happens from parents. We have to teach our children that if you are doing the right thing, it is never easy to do the right thing, but you have to be prepared to pay the cost. And eventually, and I have seen this with my own children also, who studied for 3 years in the US, that if you are good, if you are compassionate, if you are kind, other children recognize this. You might not be in the popular group, but you have to be strong enough to pay the price. You have to be strong in knowing that you are doing the right thing. If you know you're doing the right thing, then I think peer pressure can be handled.
Thank you, Taruna ji. Our members were asking for this session for such a long time during this pandemic and lockdown, and they were so much stressed out because of pandemic, and then Sushant Singh Rajput's suicide also created a lot of depression. And I will ask our Vice President Anurag Kumar ji to come and give a vote of thanks. But after that, I'll come back to you and ask you for your closing remarks. And I would appreciate it greatly if you can give us a few take away messages, which 3 or 5 messages which we can follow on day-to-day life, how to be happy from morning to evening during our course of the day. And if something happens and our mind is disturbed and unhappy, how to bring it back to happiness. So Anurag Kumar ji.
Thank you, Avinash ji. So thank you, Taruna ji. This was really, I think we were required at this time. I think usually I'm a very happy person, but now after this conversation is making me more happier. And also, I think I'm going to, like, whenever during daytime any instance come, I'm going to work on how to bring back your mind back to the happiness. So thank you very much. So thanks to the BJANA team who works. We have been in during this COVID, we have brought many events, and this is one of the most successful event right now we are having. So BJANA teams really works behind the scene to make this happen. So thank you, and all the viewers, thank you very much for joining. I hope this will be very helpful to you, and especially to you, Taruna ji. I think you have given really insight to happiness, and hopefully after this event, all the BJANA viewers is going to be happier, and they will make a point, I need to be happier every day from morning to evening. And whenever you will be not happier, think over what Taruna ji said and bring your mind back to the happiness. So thank you, Aruna ji, and I'll give back to Avinash ji.
Thank you, Taruna ji, again. I cannot express my gratitude to you to come here and give us mantras of happiness. So please go ahead and give your closing remarks and give us some take home messages which we can remember and follow it. Even one, if you are able to do that, I think it will be great.
I would first like to thank the whole BJANA team, Alok, Avinash ji, Geeta ji, for giving me a chance to come and share what little I know. I think one thing that we all should remember is something that has been said in the 8th century by Adi Shankaracharya. In his Nirvana Shatakam, there is one line that he keeps repeating again and again, and that is Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Chidanand is a composite word of Chit, which means mind, and Anand, which is bliss, and Shiva, Shiva. Shiva is the Adi Yogi. He is the first yogi. He is the first yogi, and yogi because he has reached that state of eternal bliss. I think we all should remember that we all are part of that. That when we were born, we were Chit Anand. We were souls and minds and spirits in bliss. And it is the human experiences that have put layer upon layer upon layer on that brilliant diamond that I liken it to. And the diamond has become muddy. But we need to be aware that that is what we are. We are not, I'm not Taruna Chakravorty, the life coach. I'm not Taruna Chakravorty, the wife of a diplomat, the mother of 2 kids. I am that eternal soul. And I think if I can recognize that soul in myself and recognize that each person that I come in touch with, each being that I come in touch with is part of that same eternal soul, is the same thing that I am. That itself changes our whole behavior, our whole way of thinking, and our consciousness. We are all the same. We are spirits having a bodily experience. We are not bodies, just coming for this experience on earth. So the bodies are something which are discarded, which are easily discardable, just like clothes. But we have to recognize the eternal spirit that resides in all of us, the Chit Anand, the mind in blissfulness. So I'm not saying that in this lifetime we will attain that, but even being conscious of this makes us conscious human beings and fills us with love and compassion towards everybody, every living thing, non-living thing that we come across. And that itself is a big changer, is a change maker, is a game changer in the world. If only we all realize this, we would have none of the problems related to happiness that we are talking about now. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. There are
Thank you.
comments and questions still coming, but we'll have it some another time. Thank you for your valuable time. And I thank all the audience and BJANA team, and we will stay tuned for our future programs. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhakar ji, once again.
Thank you, everyone.